Hi. It's not important. I mean, who I am and what has happened up to now. It is important what is happening now and how we can trace it back to our earlier prehistoric past and how we can correct it now. What has been done, and we cannot change it. We cannot bring back the lives that were lost throughout our history due to our lack of governing and mistakes that we made. So, I want to talk about a very important thing, meaning politics is just intertwined with our lives every day. Every day. You cannot imagine. I mean, you can take distance from politics and say it doesn't affect me, but it will affect you. Politics means how those people on the top program things for the society to so-called progress. I mean, to some extent, it did make the society progress, but it wasn't due to all they did. I mean, people were the main engine of this progress. So, what I understand from history and prehistoric times and politics is basically central governments are uh, everywhere. You cannot just say any other thing ever happened rather than central government. So central governing system is a system that we always dealt with. It is a primary way of handling growth. So at this point, I want to take you guys back. I mean, I don't know who you are, but take you guys back to prehistoric times. I'm going to read a little and explain on that. So, central governing system is the primary way of handling growth in the smaller clans. It can be as primitive as the ways a mother queen in prehistoric times could have had managed her clan in the absence of language. So we know that evolutionary speaking, there was a time that there was no language. And basically the dominant language was the body language. Body language which is driven by emotions, chemicals, and more intuitive, immediate reaction to the surrounding, to the environment. And that is how a mother actually deals. The mother has a more intuitive knowledge of her own body comparing to the male. Uh, Mother knows her body. Male doesn't know mother's body. It's always a question that this where does this child come from? There's no education. There's no knowledge about that. Mother has that knowledge. Mother knows when she gets pregnant, and she most certainly knows from what acts she gets pregnant. So the mother queen deals with this differently. She would have provided food, protection, and teaching for her siblings. She obviously has to deal with this. I mean, I don't expect a prehistoric man to go and take the baby. Oh, they don't do that. Prehistoric man is a different thing. However, it's not different from the clan because they come from a clan as well. But the clan is dominated by the mother queen. The prehistoric man is not dominant. Is just a wandering man into the nature. it takes risks to go to the nature. So she would have provided food and protection and teaching for her own siblings. That can make a clan with the non-verbal rules that she only can execute. Yeah, the clan that she can only rule over by the non-verbal means of communications that she has, meaning her body language is the main drive. This is the era that the body language of a mother queen is the determinant of her and her clan's survival. So she makes sure that her dominance is well maintained. So it's clear that she has to take care of everything, and her body language is in a way that will support her dominance because she is in charge of what is going on in her clan. At times that she has to do things, she will do those things. She can be merciless, she can be merciful at the same time, at any cost. Her intuitive knowledge of her body and her body language makes her wise enough to put up with the challenges she faces at any cost when she needs to. So she is the decision maker of when and what. She knows the cost of risks, and doubt extend beyond her clan. This is very important. All she can be certain of is these are her children. This is my child. That is her certainty. Whatever beyond that, she won't take risk. She is doubtful of whatever is going on out there. It's the doubt, the main drive of her security. In short, she is the first model that we ever had in ruling. However, things became slightly different when language in its primitive form was forming and fire became as a part of our lives. So now I'm going to go through some more elaboration on these. All we do now, I don't see any difference. All I see is a central government, a king, a senate, a prime minister, or whatever you call it, and a khalifa, imam, everything is a central person. And everything that I see is exactly a replicate of what she was doing. She was providing food, she was providing protection, she was teaching, she was distributing. Her body language would have maintained the order in the clan. She would have punished, she would have executed, she would have done anything even without them knowing this is her rule. This was her freedom. Meanwhile, for the male, it was going around and wander, and the freedom was taking risks, but she wasn't taking any risks. She knew this is it, and she had no other choice. That was all she could do. Imagine yourself in such a situation that you have to take care of yourself, and few, babies on your shoulder, on your when you hug them and you keep them. How can you do that? That makes sense. At the time when there was a need to be like this would have made sense. But later on, what happens? Whatever we do now still is a replicate of what she was doing, and she had no other option. Needless to say that she lost the power she had to the dominant alpha male, and she never got it back. Obviously, yeah, men are very good in copying, so they copied whatever she was doing, and she felt alright. Yeah, he's doing it, let him do it, and I'll be more comfortable. Further and further, she got away by accepting the passiveness imposed on her by physical force of alpha males. Life was good, food is there, you know. Food is there, pleasure is there. In this system, the male takes charge and wants to take risks to improve its status and maintain its physical dominance. But still, the female is favored in numbers of her siblings. This is very important because in every society we have a revolting point. Revolting point is about the numbers. When things become distributed in a wider number of individuals, the more inequality we will feel. So, in some point, some of the individuals of this society, or let's say clan, will revolt against some injustice they have felt. So, but she is the main cardinal of those numbers. Yeah, she can say okay. She can be the diplomat. Not okay. I mean, not verbally, but non-verbally. She has the numbers, but the male or the dominating alpha males, they have the power, like muscular power. So that's different. There are two different cases. Now her power turns to reproduction now, as long as she is secured by the alpha males. Obviously she will accept this because she knows it's her power. The number is my power. This is the interpretation, alpha males. And this is the interpretation of men when they learned how to write and exactly wrote the same as we have in patriarchic religious texts, which maintained this view up to recent times. Exactly. So we have reached to a time that we can write. So now let's divide all this history in 3 times. So a timeline according to communication would be the time that we could not speak, or let's say our body language was clearly different from the vocal that we had. So we didn't have much of vocal language to speak, but our body language was means of communication. So this is called the classic linguistic era, which the body language is everything that we have, or 99% of what we have. Now, as we gradually progress toward a society or a clan or a different means of communication, which is as verbal as non-verbal, it means we still have the body language, but we have evolved into a being that can speak something. So this is comparing to the other one, which was the classic linguistic era, is called modern linguistic era, in which non-verbal and verbal are trying to, create that, let's say, equilibrium between the means of communication. And this is all just basically not scientific investigation. It's just what we feel. Is reality looks what it like, or reality is more than what it looks like, or less than what it looks like? We don't know that. We just take it literal as reality is reality. And it's the third one, which is called postmodern linguistic era, which we actually can write. We have an understanding of equality, and we can say this equals what is in my mind. So this is the postmodern linguistic era that we can write. But what can we write? We can write what we think or perceived as to be true. So what was actually happening there, we took it as literal. It is. It is what it is. So we took the inequality that we actually got involved with, and we wrote that women are for reproduction, men are for whatever, and we gave them roles. Now, let's discuss. I mean, up to here, I think we're good to explain what I mean by central government. But let's just delve more into these areas of linguistic errors. In the classic linguistic era, an individual can perceive, but it cannot express itself, which means I am more of an individual because I cannot express. I can perceive, but I cannot express myself. It's all internalized, and it all shows up in my body language, which is hard to grasp. So that's the era of us being absolutely, in all the senses, individuals. And the next generation, or the next era, which is the modern era, is there's a balance in the roles, but you cannot say it's just basically let's forget about it. Let's forget about the second one. I just wanted to make sure about the first era that we were individuals getting together in a clan as much as we can. So yeah, I got it now. In the second era that the language is forming, there's more of conversing. So we can converse. Actually, democracy that we talk about uh, is is uh, is is not a way of ruling. Democracy means being democrat. Democrat is a person who speaks to solve the problem. And language actually is a way of dealing with the problems. As the problems of the world change, we create new words, new meanings to new words to solve that problem. That's how language is created. Language is created toward the problems. That there was physical limitations to solve those problems. So at the modern linguistic era, we have this that we can converse, not in a full sense, but we can converse. Not in the sense of past, maybe at the sense of now. Or very vague in the sense of past and more clear in the sense of now. So we could converse. So we could try to decide and try to say our words. And that's being democrat. Now, we have that democracy later happening, and we take it as a way of ruling, which is exactly replicate of the same era, of the modern era, that we thought that this can be a model of ruling. Uh, Still, it's a central government. But at the time, it wasn't a central government. It was just as Socrates would have done with its pupils. And, well, guess what happened to the Socrates himself? Yeah, they killed him. Anyway, uh, and in the postmodern era, it just is fixated. Whatever the religious text is saying is taken by its followers, because the followers will do want that dominance, do want that, you know, role that they want to have. They want to be appreciated for the problems that they solve, and they think they can solve the problems by the rules that they can provide to their clan or society, or the rules of physical force. They can do whatever they want. And it actually divided people because different faiths were created. And notice that none of the religious texts were written by the hermits, or they call it prophets. None of them were written by them. I doubt they would like it. That, hey, write whatever, or I will write it for you. No. I mean, it was always written by the followers, and well, obviously they interpret it as they want, and none of them are females. None of them are females. How can you ignore this fact? And it's just fixated, got fixated. We had wars, we had battles, we had many people thinking that they are solving the problems of the world. Everything was just like that. Central government, either democratic or kingdom. I mean, I'm a monarchist. I like monarchy, but forget about that. It's because of my background, and everything we did can be capsulated in this transition. And all the fancy ways that men thought it is their way of governing is exactly as primitive as it was ever. Inflating problems year after year, cleared up by world wars and genocides. Inflating minds and selves that thought to be the geniuses of the world for the so-called crafty roles as politicians. This is it. Politician is basically a middleman. A middleman between trade to rules that nobody can grasp. I mean, the workman do not understand what is left and right and freedom and justice. I mean, these are abstract concepts that parties work with. They are not tangible enough. You cannot feel them if you are a working man or working woman. These are just fancy ideas created by philosophers. I mean, I'm not saying philosophy is bad, but they thought that's the way it is, which is not, for me, as I will explain you what will mean a parallel governing system. So up to now, I will leave the central governing system away, and I will shortly, in short, I think you clearly like it or not like it. I hope that you give me the feedback, and I know it's not going to be accepted like worldwide or by any or adopted by any country, but I'm going to say it. That's what I was doing since I got fired from the philosophy department when I was studying philosophy in India. See, life has certain stages. Now I don't have a paper for this because I've been studying this for quite time, maybe 20 years. Not studying, thinking about this. So life has 3 stages. You grow up, you work, and you retire. For me, a parallel system, governing system, is a system that is parallel to life, that evolves as the society evolves. So in this sense, a parallel governing system is a system that mirrors the society in its stages. So you grow up, therefore you have to mirror that. So you have to have a senate. You have to engage people in the political sense. Now, political is not parties. Political is work, facts, tangible things, not abstract ideas, ideologicals, or not those things. Something that people are involved with day to day. The government shouldn't be the god, abstract. The government should be the working dog, should be tamed to dog, should work. That's the governing sense. trade. So when you grow up, that is a phase in your life. That is a phase in the society. So you mirror that into governing apparatus, and you have a senate of working people, growing people. That's a senate. From a certain age, people can arrive to this senate. Let's say from the age of 13 to 30, to whenever they are studying or learning things. At the same time, they can work. But their work is under. It's a subset of working. They are not commanding, they are not creating anything, they're just working. So as people grow, there's a senate that they are growing as well. They can give you theories. They can tell you this is how we can do it. So later we have working the society. So some people already learned a lot of things and they are working in the society. Parallel to that, there's a senate of working people. So learning people and working people. And in some time, obviously, you don't work anymore. You are retired. But retired doesn't mean that you're useless or you're not going to say any words. No, you still have a lot to do. So when you retire, there's a senate for the retired people as well. Now, how these interact with each other. So as I am growing up, I'm learning things and I am postulating theories, and I think this is how we should do it and that is how we should do it. Right, okay, I keep my things and I will give them to my senate. My senate will hand this to the retired senate. They will check, they will argue, they will have that interaction, thesis and synthesis. If they come to agreement, that can go to the work senate, that can be applicable. But if they cannot come to in terms and there's no synthesis happening, so there's always this thesis and antithesis and the synthesis that society creates. It's not the politician, it's not the abstract idea of the politician, it's something tangible. It's something that makes sense. It's trade, it's a universal language. Even if I speak another language, but I understand your trade. So a parallel government is basically about work. So we take away the parties and we have the base as unions. Unions are important. Have you seen all these politicians going to the union say, oh, yeah, vote for me, and the union say, okay, what does it have for us? Okay, I give you more money. Yeah, politicians fool the unions. But this time, engaging people, the working class, in the ruling system as bits and breaks of the society and progress and the engine of the society. That means a lot if we can engage people into that domain, if they feel responsible enough. Because sometimes people are not responsible enough, and why? Because it's too abstract, it's because too inconvenient to depend on the parties which only favor their own progress. Therefore, the unions are important. Every unit is a union. Lawyers are a union. Sportsmen are a union. Medicine people, union. Even soldiers are a union. There's nothing beyond the union. You are in union, you work and you engage into the progress of the society. Nothing is beyond union. That's how we engage in our own progress. And there are a lot of things to be investigated in this. As we engage in this manner, there are a lot of questions about parallel governing system that I myself haven't even thought about it. But it would be very interesting that we can uh, think about it and come up with the questions that can be guiding me and the future of the political stage. I know this is not going to be taken because there's a lot of profit in central government, but it's to us if you believe that there's a way for equality, if there's a way for celebrating equality, if there's a way for peace, if there's a way for a lot of things. So I hope that I made something that could have invoked some questions in your head. That is it possible that we get rid of the old patterns that kept us in constant consumerist zone and made us dependent, and now we have to be thankful. Yeah, thankful. Thank you that you made me dependent, and I don't engage in the political progress, and I just psychologically cannot function. And one more thing, the reason I made this parallel governing system was actually because I didn't like anarchy. Whoever asked me, are you an anarchist? I said, yes, I'm an anarchist, but I'm a green anarchist. I'm not a red anarchist. So the time that I was thinking about this was that what governing system would possibly anarchists come in terms with? I thought about this, that they cannot be against this. So I don't think revolutionary, I don't think like an anarchist, but I think the transition from the central government to the parallel government is a wise choice. Thank you.